our plan was to refuel at Spirit of St. Louis, but it kind of depends on where we're at and how long this all takes. So that's what we were just kind of coordinating there. Right now we are in Illinois. Here's something pretty amazing. I'm up in SkyZoom 4 right now, and I can look at my location on Google Maps. How cool is that? GPS works, even if you're 1,000 feet above the ground. So with that said, we're just passing a small town called St. Rose, Illinois. It's north of Highway 50, north of Breeze, which is a bigger town. We are headed westbound towards Alton. We're going to pass just south probably of Highland, Illinois, and eventually we'll get towards Troy and into the Metro East here and over towards Alton. If you're just joining us, I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. We are doing an aerial tour starting off in Illinois. We went from the Kaskaskia near New Athens up towards Carlisle Lake, and then now we're flying over towards Alton. We're going to go from Mississippi River on Alton down to Mississippi downtown St. Louis. We're going to take that down to where Arnold and the Merrimack River and the Mississippi River meet, right around Arnold. That's where we were last night on News 4 at 10 o'clock when we were seeing the water literally overtaking Interstate 55 live on the news. And then depending on fly time, we may go upstream the Merrimack, check out Valley Park, Eureka, and Pacific as well. Some good news though on the Merrimack. That's starting to come down. It's cresting now though in Arnold, so if it rises, it's only going to rise probably a matter of inches. But in Valley Park, in Eureka, and Pacific, all falling. Pacific was near record. It was the second highest crest. Eureka is the highest crest. It was 3.2 feet above record. That's a significant amount. And it's even worse in Valley Park, where it was 4.4 feet above the record from 1982. That's the Merrimack at Valley Park. Also interesting that the Merrimack at Valley Park was within 0.3 feet of overtopping the flood wall, although the flood wall with sandbags would add another foot. Speaking of flood walls with sandbags, the levees, the earthen levees around Portage de Sioux have sandbags on top of them. And we haven't heard any word, which is great, from this. So if we hear word, it's probably going to be bad. But there was an advisory that they were worried that the sandbags may not hold. So far they have. So again, that's the town of Portage de Sioux. Just want to let you know we're still watching out for you and keeping an eye on that. Last night they were saying, look, if you don't want to stay the night in Portage de Sioux, get out tonight. That's how worried they were that the sandbags on top of the levees wouldn't hold. But so far so good. You know, and as we fly to Alton, that's one of the things that we'll mention is when the river's hitting this what's called major category, major flood stage, you always worry about the earthen levees, not only their integrity, but also about them being overtopped. Earthen levees are the cheap way of holding a river at bay. We just don't have the money to create, you know, the concrete flood walls all along the Mississippi or the Missouri or wherever it may be. And so typically you spend the money, the millions on the flood walls when it's to protect, you know, a major city. But it also means you don't want to allow any development along those areas where you don't have the flood wall, or if there is development, people just need to know, hey, this could flood. I think the people in West Alton are all too familiar with that. They had to evacuate because of overtopping in the levee. Yeah, thank you. So we got, I just heard from back home, and by home, the station. You know you've worked too much when you start calling the TV station home. Anyway, from back at the station, that on Facebook, someone asked, how safe are the bridges going to be once all this water recedes? So I was speaking to Tom Blair, the assistant district engineer for MoDOT yesterday, and I asked him that very question. And he says they will do an inspection. The inspections go pretty quickly, but they do an inspection on all those bridges to make sure. The key is, did the water come up and actually touch the bridge? So for instance, over at Interstate 44, there's a bridge that goes over 141. The water's like within about a foot and a half of the bottom of that bridge. If it doesn't actually touch and get into that metal and into the concrete, you're going to be okay. They'll still inspect it, but it's going to be a quick inspection. It's the areas where the water's over the actual concrete, and it doesn't even have to be a bridge, really. So think about right near Merrimack Bottom Road on Interstate 55, where that water is. They're going to have to inspect that concrete and make sure that that is sound and safe and sound. It doesn't take too long, but I imagine it's certainly any of those roads or rivers, roads or bridges, that is, that are inundated are kind of on the radar, so to speak, for MoDOT or any of the crews that have to inspect that. But that is a very good question. One of the things we say during flash flooding is you don't want to drive through because you don't know how deep it is, but also you don't know the integrity of the road. And typically when it's kind of a smaller country road, you know, it's not as sound or well built as, say, an interstate. And we've seen video of this, not just from around our area, from around the country, of a smaller kind of country road or secondary road just crumbling and falling apart because the water has saturated, got into that concrete and broken it apart. So definitely a good question, and something that they're well aware of. All right, one question, are we going to fly over Bethalto? Tom? No? We're going to be south of there? We may be pretty close. So if you're in the Bethalto area, we may be close. We're not planning on getting directly over you. We got to get to Alton, but nearer, just south of Bethalto. And then the other question is, have we seen any deer? Okay, so it turns out we have a Jedi hunter in the back here, and it's our photographer, Stan. And if anyone has seen a deer, it's him. Stan, what do you say? Yeah. Yesterday, a couple of does and a very large buck at Valley Park. Where was that at Valley Park, by the way? So just off of Interstate 44, there was a large buck, a couple doe and a large buck. I'm not a hunter, but according to Stan, it was a pretty big buck, and it's probably a little jarring to see that large of a buck next to a major interstate with no cars on it. Hi, Bill. Can you repeat? A pilot had to talk to a nearby airport. Can you repeat, please? So we had a question about snow, any coming in the near future. No, not that I see anything significant. In fact, I don't see any significant storm systems whatsoever, thankfully, whether it be snow or rain, at least in the next 7 days. We are going to get some snow at some point. We're not going to escape this winter or March, which technically is the first month of meteorological spring, but we can get big snows in March. We're not going to escape without getting some snow. It is supposed to be warmer than normal, but it was also supposed to be drier than normal due to El Nino. So much for the drier than normal. Although maybe things do go drier January, February, March, which would certainly be nice to get some of this water out of here before the spring flood season. Another point about snow, I got to tell you, thankfully, we did not have snow cover in November and early December going into this event. Can you imagine if we had even just an inch on the ground? That may not seem like much, but you spread it across the river basin, and when all that would melt from the warming temperatures and then eventually the 9 to 10 inches of rain that we got over those 4 days, that would just exacerbate this flooding and make it that much more devastating. So thankfully we don't have snow, and as we fly across here on SkyZoom 4 and you see some of the land here, that is St. Jacob Schaefer Airport that you're seeing on the screen right there, that big long runway that stretches from the left-hand side to the top right-hand side. So we are just to the east of Troy, Illinois, and we're going to be headed towards eventually Interstate 70. Our plan here, by the way, for anyone watching the live stream or Facebook, is to get over to Alton, check out the Mississippi River there, which is going to be cresting at a 5th highest crest on record. It'll be the 3rd time in 7 years Alton has seen a top 10 crest. And then we're going to go down to downtown St. Louis and then to the Merrimack at Arnold. And anyone who has any interest about Interstate 55, we're going to be flying over there eventually. And our plan is to be live there for News 4 at 4 o'clock. So if you want to see what Interstate 55 looks near Merrimack Bottom Road that we were showing you live on News 4 at 10 o'clock last night that was flooding over, we're going to be there. We'll show you what it looks like in the light of day. We're about 13 minutes out from Alton, by the way. I am, while we're here in SkyZoom 4, I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton, by the way. We have our chopper pilot, Tom, and we have photographer Stan Kostecki. We are doing an aerial tour first of Illinois, and then we'll fly down the Mississippi through St. Louis over towards the Merrimack. So I'm checking what's called the hydrograph. It just kind of shows you how high the water has risen and what the forecast is for the Merrimack River at Arnold. You remember that's the nearest river gauge to what flooded out Interstate 55. It is cresting just about now at 47.26 feet. 47.26. That is a record. The old record from 1993 in Arnold was 45.3. So we're about 2 feet above that record. The forecast, by the way, is for this to fall over the next 24 hours. And eventually, let's see, we get kind of below the level where we were dealing with that flooding on Interstate 55. That should come tonight, tomorrow morning. And that's tough to forecast, though, because remember that they were pumping water. So without pumping water, Interstate 55 would have been submerged. But as they pump water off of Interstate 55 and the river continues to rise, it's hard to gauge exactly where the point is where they can stop pumping. But my guess is some point Friday is where that water is low enough where they can, and by they I mean MoDOT, can kind of breathe a lot easier. They fought a valiant fight there. They really worked hard to keep 55 open, despite the fact that it was a mess because there were 4 lanes that went down to 1 lane last night with commuters coming out of St. Louis moving southbound. And I have a friend, Mark Reardon. He's a radio host on KMOX Radio. I do forecasts for him. Spent 4.5 hours in his car. 4.5 hours on 55 southbound, all because right at Merrimack Bottom Road and where you take the bridge over the Merrimack River, it was starting to flood and 4 lanes went down to 1. And when you went down to 1 lane and actually crossed, you actually drove through water. Okay, let's bring up Google Maps, give you an idea where we're at. Just northwest of Troy, headed towards Edwardsville, Illinois. Is this all Edwardsville? Cool. So you're looking out the back of our chopper. I'm looking out ahead of it. So eventually what's going to happen is you're going to start to see much more residential area. We're going to go from farmland here to some homes. you go. You start to see some of those residences crop up there. This is the south side of Edwardsville, north side of Glen Carbon. And we're about to cross over. I think this is 159. To anyone watching live on Facebook, if you're interested in, especially if you have any interest in Mississippi River at Alton and downtown, we're going to have to ask you to come back to us, because what's going to happen is the live stream is, the Facebook live stream is going to go down. Dan, is it going to, I'm talking to my web guy, Dan. Dan, is the Facebook live stream going to come back up? Facebook live stream will come back up in a little bit, and we also have a live stream on our website at KMOV.com. I tweeted that out, at KMOV tweeted that out as well, so that link is sitting there waiting for you. But our plan here is, so the Facebook live stream is going to go down. We just kind of want to warn you, and you can always come back and check it out. As long as we're doing this, we're going to live stream it. We're passing over Edwardsville High School, by the way. Obviously completely dry. There's going to be no issues there, but it reminds me of how the Merrimack has flooded 109 over in Eureka. Eureka High School had water in the parking lot at least, if not actually into the school. There you go. That's Edwardsville High School that you're seeing out the back of our chopper as we head to the northwest towards Alton. We're going to pass over SIUE as well. This Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton up in Sky Zoom 4, chopper pilot Tom, and our photographer Stan Kostecki in here with me doing an aerial tour, checking out some of the flooded rivers. That water you see in the background there, and eventually you're going to see some more, is just kind of more typical smaller creeks that have risen, or eventually, as we're about to see come into view here, is just some ponding in flooded out fields. No significant river right now here, but what's happening is we're actually headed towards Alton. And we're going to check out the Mississippi River there. We're looking at a live picture here at the back of chopper, so you're looking towards the southeast. What I'm looking at ahead of us is Roxana, and so a lot of industry, and you're going to start to see, as we fly over it, you're going to start to see a lot of industrial areas, and eventually in Mississippi, which I can actually see in view here. Yeah, let's check out the Clark Bridge, and I believe the other bridge, it's less talked about, but the Lewis Bridge, it might be underwater still. That's 67, just near West Alton. But yeah, that would be perfect. You also see the waterfront by Alton. I'm sure they have some sandbags up. Okay. I'll wait till we get on something you can shoot. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. If you're watching a live stream, that is the Mississippi River. We are just to the southeast of Alton. So we're kind of crossing over Wood River. And that road you see in the center of your screen there, not the big one, but the smaller one to the left, that is actually a little path on top of the levee. So that's the levee. Left-hand side is the water. Right-hand side, that's supposed to be there more water, but that's actually kind of a containment area. It's allowed to flood. And then in between is where Route 3 turns into Route 143. So that would be Route 143 that goes right up towards the Clark Bridge. Stan, my plan is to get you to be able to shoot the downtown, the riverfront area. But you do have a lock and dam coming up on your left here. It's that's actually where the official gauge is. You want to shoot this levee? Yeah, that's what that is. Thanks, Stan. For anyone watching in the live stream or on Facebook, the left-hand side of your screen is the Mississippi River. And the green with a little path in the middle is the levee that's holding it at bay. This Mississippi River at Alton, by the way, is not going to set a record, not 1993, not even number 2, but it would be the 5th highest crest on record, although this is the 3rd time in 7 years Alton has seen a top 10 crest. That's a beautiful Clark Bridge. It is beauty. That is a gorgeous looking bridge. And we're approaching the riverfront here in Alton. So stand to the right, you'll see like that amphitheater and all that riverfront and the marina. Why don't we go ahead and if you go a little farther up and to the left, I think you'll see some water kind of over the road. Yeah, that's where the Great River Road kind of starts. I'm ready. Okay. Next, we head to Alton to check out the mighty Mississippi River. Now, this is actually going to be the third time in 7 years that Alton has seen a top 10 crest on the Mississippi. Here in Alton, it's what is called major flood stage, yet it's going to crest 7 feet below the record of 1993, thankfully. It is cresting tonight. It's going to be the 5th highest crest on record. Anytime we hit this major flood stage, by the way, we have to hold our breath and hope that those earthen levees will hold and won't be overtopped. We've already seen overtopping in West Alton causing evacuation. And of course, the folks here in Alton know all too well that they have to sandbag when the river gets this high, and I'm sure they're very tired of it after having to do this 3 times in the past 7 years. Hey, Bill, you mind if I redo that? Okay. And you can just splice it over the video, right? Okay. 3, 2. Next, we head over to Alton to check out the mighty Mississippi River. This is actually the 3rd time in 7 years that Alton has had to deal with a top 10 crest on the Mississippi. Now here in Alton, it's what's called major flood stage. It's going to crest though 7 feet below the record of 1993. Thankfully, it is cresting tonight. It's going to be the 5th highest crest on record. And anytime we hit this major flood stage, we have to hold our breath and hope that those earthen levees will hold and won't be overtopped. We've already seen overtopping in West Alton causing evacuation. I'm sure the folks in Alton and around this area are tired of it. They've dealt with the river being near this level or even higher 3 times in the past 7 years. Bill, I wanted to do that because I needed to correct myself. When I was here in 2013, there was sandbagging, and thankfully they're pumping, but there's no sandbagging down there at Main Street, so I wanted to make that correction. Yeah. For anyone watching the live stream, that is a look at the Mississippi River in Alton. We're now flying, we're going to follow Mississippi here and fly to downtown St. Louis. One of the interesting things I saw was Main Street, you know, where the Great River Road kind of goes right past the riverfront there. When I was here in 2013, there was sandbagging. But that's what I saw tonight was, or today was pumping. They were pumping water, so I didn't see any sandbags, which is good. I'm gonna go check. Let's see. Yeah. Hey, Stan. You want to shoot this house just to our left? It literally looks like it is on an island. It's stranded. It's a beautiful house too. There you go. And then there's another one actually just down. There you go. There you go. For anyone watching the live stream or on Facebook, gorgeous houses here. But I have to imagine these people realize this is something they have to deal with because they're in that floodplain. But that is the Mississippi River around them. My guess is they also own boats. insurance. So anyone watching on the live stream, I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. We have our chopper pilot Tom alongside photographer Stan Kostecki. We've been doing an aerial tour. We've hit the Kaskaskia River at New Athens. I had a new record high. Hit the Carlisle Lake, which is doing its job, run by the Corps of Engineers, managing the flow. And then we headed over to Alton, where the Mississippi will crest tonight, 7 feet below the record from 1993, but still a top 5 crest. Now we're headed towards downtown. We can be thankful, too, that the Missouri River is not higher than it currently is. It's the highest we've seen it, the Missouri River at St. Charles. It's the highest in 20 years. If it were higher, that's what would push us towards the 1993 levels in downtown St. Louis. So thankfully, it is not. In fact, the Missouri River at St. Charles is going to hit a top 12 record crest. As it is, the Mississippi is still very high, and in St. Louis, it's going to be 3rd highest crest on record. And that's going to happen overnight tonight, but it's still going to be way below the 1993 levels, about 7 feet below. Oh, yeah. Oh, good question. Okay. Yeah. Yep. So anyone watching live stream, that is the Chain of Rocks Bridge. We're following the Mississippi here. We're going to head into downtown, check out the flooding there, and then head over towards Arnold, where the Merrimack River meets the Mississippi River. This view, too, from Sky Zoom 4 really gives you a perspective when we say things like the mighty Mississippi. I mean, at least here, it is rather wide, it is rather huge, and it is rather inundated. It has really spread out. Farther north of us, by the way, they did have a lot of rain. Des Moines had their wettest December on record, for instance. So a lot of this water, as is traditionally the case, is not necessarily just from heavy rains in our area, but it has to be coupled with heavy rains north of our area, because that's what flows down towards us. And the same is the case for anyone south of us. You know, the heavy rains in the Merrimack that combine into the Mississippi will go south. And that's why the expectation is Mississippi at Chester, Illinois will hit the 2nd highest crest. And if you missed it earlier, we were talking about the Mississippi River at Chester. The forecast was lowered, which is fantastic. It was expected to tie the record high from 93, and now it's expected to be about 2 feet below. Still have to watch those earthen levees down there for Chester and Perry County, Missouri, on the Missouri side. I'm checking the latest forecast, too, on the Mississippi. We're at 42.3. Expected crest at 42.5, so minimal but a slight increase, and that's going to be happening tonight through tomorrow morning. It's actually going to level off around 42.5 feet and stay there pretty much all night, so it's going to stay high for a long time. The record, though, is 49.6, so that's about 7 feet below record. Record, of course, from 1993, and let's see, 42, that would put us at 3rd highest on record. Number 2 is 1973. So you're talking about a level that the Mississippi River hasn't seen in 42 years. just passed the Granite City Lock and Dam. We're headed southbound along the Mississippi here and headed towards St. Louis. Is that the McKinley right there? And then there's the Stan Musial Veterans Memorial Bridge. That's a beautiful bridge too. Yeah, we're probably pretty close. Did you say it's north of the Stan Musial Bridge? Yeah. Yes. Not yet. I want to get a little closer to... Actually, I will. Yeah. You want to start up? That's fine. Okay. Now, I got to introduce a new package here. We're getting a look at the historic floods of 2015. We've done an aerial tour in Illinois, and now we're doing this aerial tour here in Missouri, starting off with the Mississippi River in St. Louis, a level that has not been reached, by the way, in 42 years. We're going to crest at a level that we haven't seen in more than 40 years. Now, we're actually thankful that the Missouri River is not higher. If it was, this would be major trouble and could push the Mississippi up to near the 1993 record-setting flood levels, but it's not quite there. This is going to crest on the Mississippi River at St. Louis, 7 feet below the record of 1993, but nonetheless, the mighty Mississippi is even mightier right now as we're seeing it higher than it has been since 1973. The Stan Musial and Veterans Memorial Bridge is getting its first taste and test of flooding. You can see the water's really, really high up those, I don't know what they're called, pierons? The legs. You know, they're built to sustain, obviously, having water around them, but this is the first time the water's been that high on those legs, and you just hope that it's not penetrating and crumbling it. What's that, Stan? Can you get a shot of the arch there? Let's have that. Billy Mack, can you roll on this? We want to make sure people see what that looks like too. If anyone's watching the live stream, or if we're live still on Facebook, we are looking at downtown St. Louis and the Mississippi River. You can see the construction on the new arch grounds there, and you can see where the river's at. And it's good to know that with the river at the highest level it will be cresting tonight since 1973. It's nowhere near giving any trouble to those new arch grounds. Certainly flooded Lenore K. Sullivan, that's for sure, but that seems easy to do. That's flooded quite a bit in the past 10 years or so. And you see there in the left-hand side of the screen a small building with a Channel 4 on it. That's home. That's home, baby. Yep. No. Not much to talk about. But do you want the shot, or do you want it VO'd even though there's not much? Okay. Oh, okay. Thanks, Bill. So for anyone watching the live stream, what we're looking at is the hopefully the new home of the St. Louis Rams. That would be where we'd build the new stadium. You can see that there's already a piece of land kind of carved out there, and that's something I didn't know. I thought there would, have to be some tear down, or maybe there's a parking lot, but we're moving away from it now. But it looked like there was, kind of a chunk of land that's already there, and I'm sure they need to buy up more land to create the vast amount of parking and whatnot. But bottom line is, let's hope that comes to fruition first and foremost, so we can keep our team and maybe even get a MLS team. It'd be nice to have a soccer team too. You can see all these barges here. I have a guy who tweets at me on Twitter. You can reach me too, at Steve Templeton, who told me that the JB Bridge, the clearance, is about 50 feet. He said a big boat's going to be about 47 to 48 feet tall. So you're talking about a margin of error of about 2 feet, 3 feet. One of the things I'm seeing up here in Sky Zoom 4 as we follow the Mississippi, we're on the Missouri side, I see the flood wall pretty clearly because it has graffiti all over it. But it's colorful, especially from this view as you keep driving along it, and it really helps me pick it out. But that flood wall is no problem. I mean, the water's high for sure, but it's not like lapping up against the top of it or anything like that. And again, the crest on St. Louis is expected to be 7 feet below the record from 1993. By the way, our forecasts have gotten better and better in the years, and you're still trying to forecast something very challenging. You're trying to get as much data on how much rain has fallen, then how much of it is actually in these small rivers that flow into the big rivers, and then try and forecast, well, how high will the big river rise? And while that's still a challenge, it is better than it has been in the past. Back in 1982, when the Merrimack River flooded at Valley Park, that was the old record, it flooded 5 feet higher than they expected. 5 feet. And so people were stuck on top of their roofs. Thousands were left homeless. It was a surprise. And I think one of the benefits of better technology and the money that our country has spent on creating an infrastructure to help protect areas, but also to forecast for those events, has made it so that it's not as much of a surprise. Now, don't get me wrong, you still have a surprise. Like at Arnold, the Merrimack River, the forecast went up a few feet during the day, but it still helped you prepare for it. But 5 feet is a significant surprise when it starts flooding Merrimack at Valley Park back in 1982. And that stretch of flooding back in 1982 that set the record across most, not all, but most points on the Merrimack River was due to another December flood event. It happened in early December, around December 5th and 6th. And that came with about 10 inches of rain, and it actually produced some tornadoes too in the area. So that was a severe weather and then heavy rain event. So do Merrimack River at Arnold and go get fuel back to Cahokia. Billy Mack, the plan, because we're at about 1 hour and 35 minutes flight time, 2 hours is fuel. So we're going to hit the Merrimack River at Arnold and then head over to Cahokia to refuel. You okay with that? Can we make it? We're okay on flight time to Arnold. Not sure if we're okay on flight time upstream the Merrimack, and we're trying to make a decision. Do we go upstream and then go to Spirit, or do we go refuel? River. You can see downtown St. Louis in the background there, and the arch kind of towards the top center of the screen. And other than earthen levee, which you see with a little concrete path on top of it in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, that's the only thing holding the river at bay. But on the other side of it is really truly floodplain in Illinois. There are some farms and homes, though, that are close to that levee. So, but so far so good. That levee has held. One of the things we're going to have to be watching too, as we head over the next few days through the weekend, is all this water from the Mississippi that goes down towards Chester, Illinois. They're going to crest about 2 feet below the record. That's an update. 2 feet below the record. Was expecting to tie the record. So all along this Mississippi River, as you go down, Jefferson County, the eastern border of Jefferson County that borders the Mississippi River, and you go down Monroe, Randolph counties down towards Chester, Illinois. Anyone with any interests along the Mississippi River are going to be watching these earthen levees very closely. Number one, to make sure that they hold and don't get kind of the water works its way into it and disintegrates the integrity of the earth. Okay. Signal's back up, and if we lost, or you lost us, it's only because the signal went out for a little bit. I'm Chief Meteorologist Steve Templeton. We have Chopper Pilot Tom, and we have photographer Stan Kostecki in Sky Zoom 4. We've been doing an aerial tour. Started off in Illinois, up the Kaskaskia to Carlisle, went over to Alton, check out the Mississippi, and that's where we're at now, flying down the Mississippi. But we passed downtown St. Louis, and it's a JB, right? If you pan right, we're going to see those iconic kind of red arches. That's probably is that the approach to the JB from the Illinois side? Oh, okay. So on the right-hand side is Missouri side. Left-hand side's Illinois side. Okay, left-hand side's Missouri. Thanks for orienting me. I did get a tweet from someone out of Columbia, Illinois. They drove over to the Mississippi, so this is pretty close to where they went to kind of take a video. Tweeted that at me. Appreciate anyone who's gotten me pictures at Steve Templeton or on KMOV, Steve Templeton on Facebook, at KMOV. This picture you're looking at right now is the Mississippi River at the JB Bridge as we're flying southbound. We're following the Mississippi to where it's going to meet the Merrimack River at Arnold, which is pretty much cresting kind of now through this evening. I'm going to do a quick check on where we're at on that forecast, just make sure that that hasn't changed. Yep. Okay. Oh yeah. what did that say, 5? But it counts down upward, so it looks like it's the JB Bridge saying you got 5 feet of, you know what, I'll bet that's for barges and boats. I'll bet that's clearance. So there's an update on clearance, 5 feet. Okay, I got the update on the Merrimack River at Arnold. That's where we're headed. We're flying south. You're looking at the Mississippi River. We're flying south to where it's going to conjoin with the Merrimack, which is actually on the right-hand side of the screen. You're going to see some far right-hand side of the screen, Stan. You're going to see some smokestacks. It's just about there, or maybe a little south, that the Merrimack is going to dump out into the Mississippi. And the update is it is at 47.26 feet, 47.2. That is, let's see, it's about 2 feet above the record. And that record is from 1993 here, because one of the unique instances is what you're looking at is the Mississippi, which when it's really high, the Merrimack can't get out. It can't get out into the Mississippi. It flows in the Mississippi, but it's really slowly. So what happens is traffic, if you will, only water traffic in this case, backs up. It's the same thing if you are on highway or Interstate 55 last night going southbound, and all of a sudden 4 lanes comes down to 1. Well, traffic's still moving on 1 lane, but it's moving so slowly that all the traffic that's coming in has to slow down and stop, and then more traffic comes in, and it piles up, backs up, backs up. Well, that happens with the Mississippi right here at the Merrimack. And that backup is what caused the record level in 1993 on the Merrimack River at Arnold. You go a little farther upstream, the backup's not as bad. And that's why 1982 was the flood of record for Valley Park, Eureka, and Pacific. Okay, do you want to go ahead? Bill, you ready? We're at the Merrimack River and Mississippi River where they meet. Okay. Ready? 3, 2. Next, we've flown south down the Mississippi River to where it meets the Merrimack River, and the Mississippi has a big impact on the Merrimack. It actually backs up the Merrimack at Arnold. Take a look, and what you'll see is some flooded out homes here. Some of them do have, it looks like, oh, that is a church. As we're live, sorry about that, Bill. That's a church? Oh, I see the steeple now. Yeah. Thank you, Stan. Ready? 3, 2. Now we're flying south down the Mississippi River to where it meets the Merrimack, and the Mississippi has a big impact on the Merrimack. It will actually back it up at Arnold. And that's why the record in Arnold was from 1993. The water gets backed up, and we're going to be seeing a new record on the Merrimack River at Arnold. You can see a church there that is surrounded by water and a bunch of other sheds and homes that are flooded out. The Merrimack River has wreaked havoc on homes and businesses and even major roads. Now here at Arnold, it's cresting today with a new record about 2 feet above the old. It won't fall below major flood category until Monday morning. That's partially because of that backup effect from the Mississippi. You good with that, Bill? You okay on fuel, Tom? Do we go from Valley Park back to Cahokia or over to Spirit? Equidistant. I am efforting. '21's Tesson Ferry, isn't it? Yeah. Are you shooting straight ahead? That's 231, right? That's Telegraph. Yeah. Yeah, then that's Telegraph Road. For anyone watching the live stream, by the way, we had to take did you hear that? Big wide is what he's looking for. We had to take a break to tape something. We're going to air this aerial tool on News 4 at 5 and at 6. And what you're looking at right now is the Merrimack River before it dumps into the Mississippi. That bridge is Telegraph, or Highway 231. So that's Telegraph Road where it crosses the Merrimack River. This is in kind of extreme southeastern. I believe we're still in St. Louis County. I don't know why there are pedestrians on the bridge. They may be kind of, you know, gawkers. We've seen a lot of that when I was at Highway 141 and Interstate 44. A lot of people just stopping to see it and take pictures. I mean, it's incredible how high the rivers are, especially if you live near here. And, well, someone's exercising, it looks like. But if you live near here, you know what levels it's supposed to be at, so you have that kind of perception in your head, and then you see this, and it's probably amazing. It's amazing even if you don't see this every day, much lower, and then you come and see it this high. So we're in Sky Zoom 4. We're over Merrimack River, which set a new record, cresting today at Arnold, about 2 feet above the old record from 1993. And we were showing you some of that water as it scoots just under the Telegraph Road on that bridge. That's 231 that crosses the Merrimack. Valley Park. Let's see, what town? Yeah, probably Arnold, or maybe like a border between Arnold and Oakville. Yeah, the Far Bridge. And it still looks shut down, doesn't it? Hey, Stan, off to our left, there's going to be kind of two bridges. The closest one to us is Levies Ferry, which is open in both directions, although you might want to shoot this. On the south side of that bridge, there's water that is forcing the southbound traffic on Levies Ferry to go into one of the lanes of the northbound traffic. So that's the bridge nearest us. And in the meantime, anyone watching the live stream, I've got a view from above of Interstate 55 as it crosses the Merrimack. That bridge is still shut down in both directions. Actually, is that, and if you go up a little bit to the right, it gets a little worse on the other side of the bridge where traffic gets diverted into one of the lanes of the northbound. There you go. So what you're looking at is Levies Ferry Road as it crosses the Merrimack here. It's open in both directions, but those cars that are traveling from left to right are actually southbound, and they're taking over one of the lanes in the northbound side in order to avoid driving through the water. That is how close the Merrimack is to enveloping and taking over Levies Ferry. In the meantime, Interstate 55 is still shut down in both directions. Keep in mind the Merrimack is cresting just about now. It's going to remain at this level tonight through tomorrow. Tomorrow it'll start to pull back. So you might get another few more inches. And it's not out of the question with a few more inches of water that they have to shut down at least one of those directions on Levies Ferry. As it is, it's the southbound that is being redirected into one of the two lanes that is in the northbound, and essentially taking what is a 4-lane total road down to 2 lanes. Do we have time, Tom? We'll have about 10 minutes over Valley Park once we get there, and then we're out, Bill. Great. Did you get all that info on the Lee May Ferry, what's happening right there? Okay. All right, for anyone that's watching the live stream, you probably hear me talking, but not the guys back at the station. We're in touch with them. We're filming some stuff, some of which will air on News 4 at 5 o'clock and 6 o'clock. We'll be live in Sky Zoom 4 here. That's the plan, at least, for News 4 at 4 o'clock. We have to make sure we fuel. So we just passed over Lee May Ferry Road where it crosses the Merrimack, and if you're headed southbound on that, that's Highway 231, you actually get diverted into one of the northbound lanes to work your way around the Merrimack River that has started to take over all of the southbound lanes on Lee May Ferry. So in order to get around, southbound has to jump over to one of the northbound lanes, and then northbound's only down to one lane then. But they're getting through. They're getting through on Lee May Ferry. Interstate 55 is still shut down in both directions, though. Hey, Billy Mack, for our live at 4 o'clock, you want us back over that Arnold Merrimack area? Okay. We'll adjust based on what you need, but we'll plan on that for now. Okay. So our plan for anyone watching the live stream is to check out the Merrimack River at Valley Park, and then we're going to fly back to the airport at Cahokia to refuel and then be back up in the air for News 4 at 4 o'clock. Stan, kind of flying directly over, so it'll literally be beneath us, but you're going to see some homes that are really, really flooded here from the Merrimack, one of which is kind of a large brown home with white siding, and it's almost up to the second story in that house. It's right there in the bottom right, the brown roof, just to the left. Is that it, or just to the left of it? The one that's to the left of it. Now to the right. Oh, it's going to be hitting those trees. We missed it. That's okay. Well, there's one right there. These poor people. I'm hoping that they got everything out that they care about, but that's miserable. If you're watching the live stream, this is the Merrimack River. Yeah, wow. So that's the Merrimack River just south of Gravois, and what's going to happen is we're going to pass over Gravois, and you'll see how the water is completely over it. Gravois Highway 30, and it is shut down. There's no getting across it. And this is one, earlier we had on a live Facebook question about how the roads and bridges would be after being in water and then the water recedes. This is one that you definitely want to inspect, and MoDOT will definitely be doing that. Stan, can you pan? Oh, 44. Okay. Yes, Bill. Oh, I kept saying Lee May Ferry. It's Telegraph. You're right. My apologies. We even said that. Give me 1 second and I'll tell you exactly where it is. For anyone live stream earlier, I kept mentioning Lee May Ferry, but it's Telegraph that you have to go on southbound turn. You have to go into the northbound lanes. I heard you, Bill. I'm going to tell you in a second, okay? Just give me a moment. Okay, that is Telegraph Road just to the east of 61 or Jeffco Boulevard. So if you were going to get there, you'd probably have to take Telegraph through Oakville, so like 255 to 231, which is Telegraph. Take that south through Oakville, and then as you go south, it'll eventually cross the Merrimack, and that's where it is. You cannot get there through 55, though, because 55 is shut down. You get that, Bill? Do you know what that is? There it is, okay. All right. I had my map over on Telegraph, so I need to reorient myself. Anyone watching the live stream, that is 141 and Interstate 44. What you see is the bridge on Interstate 44 that goes over 141 from the left to the right. So that's the bridge, that's Interstate 44. The lights you see, and even the debris of driftwood, that is Highway 141. On a normal basis, MoDOT tells me 141 handles about 50,000 vehicles a day, Interstate 44 100,000 vehicles a day, and it's empty, completely empty. You're looking at a picture of 141 from the north looking to the south. And yeah. This is good, I think. Okay. Okay. And here we are along the Merrimack River at Valley Park. 141 and Interstate 44 submerged. You can barely see the bridge from Interstate 44 as it kind of pops out on high ground. But all that water is submerging Highway 141. We hit a new record by more than 4 feet. And that old record was also a December flood event from 1982 on the Merrimack here at Valley Park. The river is now falling and will be out of what's called major flood stage Saturday evening, and then below any flooding by Monday. How far? You gonna be okay? Okay. Yep. Yeah, because now we have to go north. All right, for anyone watching the live stream, that was just a view of 141 and Highway 141 and Interstate 44. We were on the ground there live yesterday on News 4 at 4, 5, and 6. And of course, now we're doing this aerial tour. Got a shot from it up above. 141, just an absolute mess. So now we're going north. We're going to get a shot of, what are we getting, Stan? MSD plant number 2 is shut down. So we're going to get a shot of that for our news department. Going to be airing some of this video on News 4 at 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and 6 o'clock. Where we were just at, by the way,